You think you know what happens when you sleep. You don't. You think it's rest, recovery, a break from the chaos of being conscious. And sure, that's the surface level answer, the one that makes you feel safe enough to close your eyes every night. But the truth? Your body isn't resting. It's working hard. And some of what it's doing while you're unconscious is going to make you deeply uncomfortable. Because here's the thing. Sleep isn't a pause button. It's a shift change. Your conscious mind clocks out, and an entire biological night crew clocks in, running operations you didn't authorize, making decisions you're not aware of, and performing tasks that would horrify you if you could see them happening in real time. You're not in control when you sleep. You're surrendering control to systems that don't ask for your permission and don't care about your feelings. And the worst part? You've been told your whole life that sleep is this peaceful, restorative sanctuary, that it's where you recharge. But nobody tells you what recharging actually involves. Nobody explains the mechanics. Nobody warns you that your body is doing things in the dark that are equal parts necessary and nightmare fuel. So, let's fix that. Let's pull back the curtain on what your body is actually doing while you're unconscious. And I'm warning you now, this isn't a bedtime story. This is an expose. You're about to find out that sleep is less like a spa day and more like a horror show, where your body is both the victim and the villain. And once you know this, you can't unknow it. So, buckle up. Because your body has been keeping secrets from you, and tonight, we're exposing all of them. Let's start with something you've probably heard of, but never truly understood. REM sleep, rapid eye movement. You know it's when you dream. You've been told it's important. But here's what nobody explains. What your eyes are actually doing during REM sleep is borderline violent. Your eyes aren't just moving, they're darting, rapidly, erratically. Beneath your closed eyelids, your eyeballs are whipping back and forth, like they're watching the most chaotic, high-speed chase scene ever filmed. And this isn't random. This is your brain simulating vision. It's running programs, testing scenarios. And the pattern of movement? It mirrors exactly how your eyes move when you're awake and experiencing extreme emotional distress, fear, panic, shock. Think about that. Your eyes move during REM sleep the same way they move when you're terrified, when you're watching something horrifying unfold in front of you. That's not peaceful. That's not restful. That's your brain running disaster simulations while your body is locked down. And here's the kicker. Your brain knows this is dangerous. It knows that if your body could move freely during these simulations, you'd be thrashing around, throwing punches, screaming, running. So, it paralyzes you completely. During REM sleep, your voluntary muscles are shut down by inhibitory signals from your brainstem. You're chemically restrained. Your brain puts you in a pharmaceutical-grade straitjacket every single night to stop you from acting out what's happening in your head. But sometimes, that system fails. There's a condition called REM behavior disorder, where the paralysis doesn't work. And when that happens, people physically act out their dreams, they punch their partners, kick holes in walls, jump out of windows, all while fully asleep, because their brain didn't lock the doors, and what's inside, the chaos, the violence, the fear, comes spilling out into the real world. So, when you think about REM sleep, don't think about peaceful dreaming. Think about your brain running emergency drills in a dark warehouse, and your body being chemically sedated to stop you from destroying everything around you. That's what's happening. Every single night. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good, because we're just getting started. Now let's talk about something you can measure, something physical, something undeniable. You are shrinking every single night, not metaphorically, literally. You go to bed one height and you wake up taller. And if you think that's just your body decompressing, you're only half right. What's actually happening is way weirder and slightly horrifying. Your spine isn't a solid column. It's a stack of bones separated by fluid-filled cushions called intervertebral discs. All day long, gravity is pushing down on you. Every step you take, every hour you stand or sit, gravity is compressing those discs like sponges. The fluid inside them gets squeezed out into the surrounding tissue. And by the end of the day, you're shorter, measurably shorter, up to a full inch shorter, depending on your age and activity level. When you lie down and sleep, gravity's pressure is removed, and those discs, they re-expand. They suck fluid back in like sponges soaking up water. Your spine literally drinks from your body's tissues overnight, and by morning, you're taller again. You've reinflated. But here's the part nobody talks about. This isn't a perfect process. Every single cycle of compression and re-expansion causes microscopic damage to those discs. Over time, years, decades, they lose elasticity. They stop bouncing back all the way. The fluid doesn't return as fully, and that's why older people are shorter. That's why your grandparents aren't the height they were in their 20s. It's not just age, it's cumulative damage from thousands of nights of imperfect reinflation. And here's the truly disturbing part. Astronauts grow up to 2 inches in space, not because space is magical, but because without gravity, their spines never compress. The discs stay fully expanded all the time, which means your height, right now, today, is a compromised version of what your spine is capable of. Gravity has been beating you down, one day at a time, and sleep is just your body's attempt to fight back. But it's losing. Slowly. Inevitably. Every night you sleep, you're playing out this biological tug-of-war between gravity and your spine. And every night, you're losing a little bit more. You just don't notice because it's slow. But it's happening, right now, while you sleep. And if you think that's unsettling, wait till you hear what your brain is doing. Because while your body is dealing with gravity, your brain is dealing with something worse. Too much information. Your brain is a storage system, and every single day, it's flooded with data. Conversations, faces, sounds, smells, emotions. Most of it is useless. Most of it is noise. And if your brain kept everything, you'd be drowning in irrelevant memories within weeks. So, your brain has a solution. Every night, during deep sleep, it runs a triage system. It decides what to keep and what to delete, permanently. You've been told that sleep consolidates memories, that it makes them stronger. And that's true. For the memories your brain decides are worth keeping. But what nobody tells you is that consolidation is only half the process. The other half is deletion. Active, intentional, irreversible deletion. During deep sleep, your brain is replaying memories. It's running them through evaluation criteria. Emotional weight, repetition, relevance, and anything that doesn't meet the threshold, gone, erased, not weakened, not faded, deleted. And here's the disturbing part. You don't get a say in this. The criteria your brain uses are optimized for survival and efficiency, not for what matters to you. That conversation you had with a friend last week, if your brain decided it wasn't emotionally significant or practically useful, it's gone. That person's face you saw on the street and thought you'd remember, deleted. That moment you wanted to hold on to, too bad. Your brain decided it was clutter. And this isn't theoretical. Sleep researchers have proven this with memory tests. People who sleep after learning something retain what their brain deems important, but lose details their brain flags as irrelevant. And you can't override it. You can't tell your brain, no, actually, I wanted to keep that. It's already gone. But here's where it gets even weirder. Sleep deprivation prevents this deletion process. Insomniacs and people with chronic sleep issues remember more than people who sleep well. Not because their memory is better, but because their brain never got the chance to clear out the junk. Their mental storage is overloaded with useless data. They remember conversations they wish they could forget. They remember embarrassing moments in excruciating detail. Their brain is hoarding information like a digital file system that never empties its trash. So here's your choice. Sleep well and let your brain delete memories without your consent. Or don't sleep and drown in a backlog of mental clutter you can't control. Either way, you're not in charge. Your brain is editing your identity every single night, and you're just along for the ride. And that's just what it's doing to your memories. Let's talk about what it's doing to your body. Because while your brain is deleting files, your throat is trying not to kill you, and it's not doing a great job. You think breathing is automatic, reliable, safe. And when you're awake, sure, it mostly is. But when you fall asleep, everything changes. Your muscles relax, all of them, including the muscles in your throat. And when those muscles relax, your airway narrows. Sometimes it collapses. This is why snoring exists. Snoring isn't cute. It's not harmless. It's the sound of your airway struggling to stay open. It's the sound of tissue vibrating because air is being forced through a passage that's too narrow. It's your body's warning alarm that your throat is partially collapsing. And for millions of people, it's worse than that. For people with sleep apnea, most of whom don't even know they have it, the airway doesn't just narrow, it closes completely for 10 seconds, 20, 30, sometimes longer. No air is getting in, no oxygen is reaching your lungs. Your blood oxygen levels drop, and your brain has to make an emergency decision, so it wakes you up. Not fully, just enough to restart your breathing. Just enough to force your throat muscles to tighten and reopen the airway. And then you fall back asleep. And it happens again. And again, and again. Sometimes hundreds of times per night. You don't remember any of this. You don't wake up thinking, wow, I almost suffocated 200 times last night. But your body remembers, your brain remembers, your heart remembers. Because every time your airway closes, your body goes into low-grade panic mode. Your heart rate spikes. Stress hormones flood your system. Your brain is yanking you back from the edge of suffocation, over and over and over. And even if you don't have sleep apnea, your oxygen levels still drop during sleep. That's normal. Your breathing slows down. Your body prioritizes other processes over oxygenation. So every night your cells are getting slightly less oxygen than they do during the day. Every night is a controlled suffocation experiment. Your body barely manages to survive. And you thought you were just sleeping. No, you're suffocating. Slowly, repeatedly. And your brain is working overtime to stop you from dying. Every single night. But at least you're unconscious for that part. Let's talk about what happens when you are conscious, but still trapped inside a sleeping body. Because there's a state between waking and sleeping that's worse than either. A state where your brain is awake, but your body is still paralyzed. A state where you're conscious, but you can't move, can't speak, can't scream. And your brain, still half in dream mode, starts generating hallucinations. This is sleep paralysis. And if you've never experienced it, you're lucky. Because it's one of the most primal, visceral forms of terror the human brain can produce. Here's what's happening. During REM sleep, your brain paralyzes your body to stop you from acting out dreams. We talked about that earlier. But sometimes, something goes wrong. You wake up before the paralysis turns off. Your consciousness comes online, but your body is still locked down. You try to move, nothing happens. You try to speak, your mouth won't open. You try to breathe deeply, and it feels like there's a weight on your chest. And then, the hallucinations start. Because your brain is still in REM mode, the part of your brain that generates dreams is still active. And now it's generating sensory input while you're awake. You see shadows in the room, figures standing over you. You feel pressure, like someone sitting on your chest, holding you down. You hear whispers, footsteps, breathing. This isn't supernatural, this is neurology. This is your brain misfiring in a twilight state between sleep and waking, and it's terrifying. People who experience sleep paralysis describe it as the most intense fear they've ever felt. Not because something is actually happening, but because their brain is chemically inducing the sensation of being trapped, helpless, and under threat. And here's the truly disturbing part. This paralysis system, the one your brain uses every night to lock down your muscles, is the same mechanism used in anesthesia. When doctors paralyze you for surgery, they're hijacking the same neural pathways your brain uses during REM sleep. And when that system fails during surgery, people wake up, paralyzed, conscious, feeling everything, unable to move or signal that they're awake. That's called anesthesia awareness, and it happens more often than you think. Patients wake up mid-surgery, fully paralyzed, feeling the scalpel, hearing the doctors, unable to scream, and it's the same biological system you use every single night. Every time you go to sleep, you're activating the same paralysis mechanism that traps people inside their bodies during surgery. The only difference is that when you sleep, you're usually unconscious for it, but sometimes, you're not. And that's sleep paralysis. Your brain is running the same lockdown protocol every night that anesthesiologists use to keep surgery patients immobile. And every night, you're one misfire away from waking up trapped inside your own body. But your brain isn't just paralyzing you for fun. It's doing it because it has to. Because if it didn't, the things your brain does during sleep would be catastrophic. Because let's talk about what you're experiencing while you're paralyzed. Let's talk about dreams, or, to use the correct term, hallucinations. You call them dreams because that sounds harmless. But neurologically, dreaming is indistinguishable from psychosis. During REM sleep, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, reasoning, and reality testing, shuts down. Meanwhile, your visual cortex, auditory cortex, and emotional centers go into overdrive. You're experiencing vivid sensory input that doesn't exist. You're seeing things, hearing things, feeling things, and you believe they're real. In fact, you don't just believe they're real. You accept absolutely insane things as normal. You fly, you talk to dead people, you're chased by monsters, you're back in high school. And in the moment, none of it seems strange, because the part of your brain that would say, wait, this doesn't make sense, is offline. This is the definition of psychosis. The only difference between a dream and a psychotic episode is that you wake up from a dream. That's it. That's the only distinguishing factor. While you're dreaming, you are clinically hallucinating. You are experiencing a break from reality, and your brain does this to you every single night. But here's the part that makes this truly disturbing. Your brain doesn't distinguish dream emotions from real emotions. When you dream about being chased, your body releases real adrenaline, real cortisol, real stress hormones. Your heart rate increases, your blood pressure spikes, your body is responding to a threat that doesn't exist. And it's responding with the same intensity it would to a real threat. And if you dream about something traumatic, something violent, something terrifying, your brain encodes that as a real memory. Not the event itself, obviously, but the emotional experience, the fear, the helplessness, the pain. Your brain files that away as something that actually happened to you, which is why nightmares can feel so visceral, why they can linger, why they can affect your mood the next day. You're not just dreaming, you're gaslighting yourself every night, and your body believes it. And the longer you sleep, the more REM sleep you get. The longer you spend in this state of nightly psychosis, the more hallucinations your brain generates, the more fake experiences your body reacts to as though they're real. You spend roughly 2 hours every night hallucinating. 2 hours in a state that, if it happened while you were awake, would require medical intervention. 2 hours where your brain loses touch with reality, and your body treats fiction as fact. And you do this voluntarily, every single night. But at least you're paralyzed for it. At least your brain has the good sense to lock you down while you're losing your mind. Because if it didn't, well, we already covered what happens when the paralysis fails. And speaking of your brain's emergency systems, let's talk about the tests it runs while you sleep. Because your brain doesn't trust you to stay alive. It doesn't trust that your body is working correctly. So, every night, while you're unconscious, it runs diagnostics. It checks to make sure you're not dead. And the way it does this is deeply unsettling. You know that feeling when you're just about to fall asleep, and suddenly your whole body jerks, like you're falling, or like someone startled you? That's called a hypnic jerk. And it's not random, it's your brain testing your body. Here's what's happening. As you fall asleep, your breathing slows. Your heart rate drops, your muscles relax, and your brain, which is still partially online during the transition into sleep, misinterprets these signals. It thinks something's wrong, it thinks you might be dying. So it sends an emergency pulse through your nervous system. A sudden, involuntary muscle contraction, a full body twitch. And if your body responds, if your muscles jerk, your brain knows you're still alive. Crisis averted. You fall asleep. This is your brain's panic button. It's a last-second check to make sure your body is still responding to commands. And it happens to almost everyone, almost every night. Your brain is so paranoid about you dying in your sleep that it literally shocks your body awake just to confirm you're still functional. And this isn't the only test your brain runs. Throughout the night, your brainstem is monitoring your vital signs, checking your heart rate, your breathing, your oxygen levels, and if anything drops too low, your brain intervenes. It triggers micro-arousals, brief moments where you almost wake up, just enough to restart normal function, and then you drop back into sleep. You don't remember these. They're too short. But they happen dozens of times per night. Your brain is constantly yanking you back from the edge of system failure. And the only reason you don't notice is because it happens so fast. But sometimes your brain doesn't catch the problem in time. Sometimes your heart stops during sleep. Sometimes your breathing stops for too long, and people die in their sleep. Not because something attacked them, but because their brain's emergency systems failed, because the fail-safes didn't trigger fast enough. Every night, you're trusting automated systems to keep you alive. Systems that run tests, that monitor, that intervene when necessary. And most of the time, they work, but not always. You're alive every morning because your brain ran its diagnostics correctly, because it caught the problems before they became fatal, because it kept testing, kept checking, kept confirming that you were still alive. And if that makes you feel like you're one malfunction away from not waking up, well, you are. That's the truth. That's what's happening every single night. But your brain isn't the only thing hunting for problems while you sleep. Your immune system is hunting too. Because sleep isn't rest for your immune system. Sleep is when it goes to work, and the work it does is violent. During deep sleep, your immune system ramps up. White blood cells multiply. Inflammatory signals increase, and your body begins hunting for damaged cells, infected cells, precancerous cells, anything that doesn't belong or isn't functioning correctly. And when it finds those cells, it kills them. This process is called autophagy, self-eating. Your body is consuming itself. It's breaking down dysfunctional cells, destroying them, and recycling their parts. This is essential. This is how your body prevents disease. This is how it stops infections from spreading, how it stops cancer from taking root. But it's also brutal. Your immune system is executing cells, marking them for death, sending in killer T cells to dismantle them from the inside. And this happens every single night. Sleep is when your body does its dirty work, when it purges what doesn't belong. And if you don't sleep, this doesn't happen. The damaged cells linger, the infected cells multiply, the precancerous cells survive. Your body doesn't get the chance to clean house. And over time, that accumulation of damage leads to disease, to infection, to cancer. This is why sleep deprivation is so dangerous. It's not just that you're tired, it's that your immune system didn't get to finish its nightly hunt. Toxins accumulate, damage compounds. Your body becomes a breeding ground for the very things your immune system is supposed to destroy. But here's the dark side of this system. Sometimes your immune system makes mistakes. Sometimes it targets the wrong cells, healthy cells, functional cells, your own cells. And when that happens, you get autoimmune disease, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes. These diseases happen when your immune system goes rogue during its nightly purge, when it starts killing cells that aren't damaged or infected, when it turns on you. And the worst part, this hunt happens every night. Every single night, your immune system is making life or death decisions about which cells to spare and which to destroy. And sometimes it gets it wrong. Sometimes it kills the wrong ones. And you wake up with an immune system that's at war with your own body. Sleep isn't rest. It's controlled violence. It's maintenance through destruction. And every night, your body is playing a high-stakes game of identify and eliminate. And when it loses that game, you're the one who pays the price. But even when your immune system gets it right, even when it only kills the cells that deserve to die, there's still a problem. Because the byproducts of that killing, the waste, it has to go somewhere. And that brings us to the most disturbing truth of all. Because while your immune system is killing cells, your brain is dealing with the aftermath. And the aftermath is poison. Your brain produces waste. All day long, every time your neurons fire, they generate metabolic byproducts. Proteins, toxins, cellular debris. And the most dangerous of these is a protein called beta amyloid. You've heard of it. It's the protein that forms plaques in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. It's the protein that kills neurons. That destroys memory. That leads to dementia. And your brain produces it every single day. Right now, as you're listening to this, your brain is generating beta amyloid. It's a normal byproduct of brain activity, but it's toxic. And if it builds up, it kills you. So your brain has a waste removal system. It's called the glymphatic system. And here's the catch. It only works during deep sleep. When you're awake, your brain cells are tightly packed together. There's no room for fluid to flow between them. But during deep sleep, something incredible happens. your brain cells shrink. They physically contract by up to 60%, and the gaps between them open up. And when those gaps open, cerebrospinal fluid floods in. It rushes through your brain like a pressure washer, flushing out the toxic waste that accumulated during the day. Beta amyloid, tau proteins, metabolic debris, all of it gets washed out into your bloodstream, carried away, filtered by your liver and kidneys, and eliminated from your body. This is why you wake up clear-headed after a good night's sleep. Your brain just took a chemical shower. It flushed out the poison. But if you don't sleep, if you cut your sleep short, if you stay up all night, if you chronically undersleep, that flush doesn't happen. The toxins stay. Beta amyloid accumulates. Plaques start to form. And this isn't a metaphor. This is measurable. Researchers can see beta amyloid levels increase in the brains of people who are sleep deprived. They can track plaque formation. They can watch in real time as lack of sleep literally poisons the brain. And the damage is cumulative. You can't catch up on sleep and undo this. Every night you shortchange your sleep, you're allowing toxins to build up that your brain will never fully clear. Every all-nighter, every 5-hour night, every time you prioritize anything over sleep, you're letting poison accumulate in your brain. And over time, years, decades, that poison does what poison does. It kills neurons. It destroys connections. It eats away at your memory, your cognition, your ability to think. This is why chronic sleep deprivation is linked to Alzheimer's, to dementia, to cognitive decline, to early death. You're not just tired when you don't sleep. You're brain damaged. And the damage is permanent. Sleep isn't optional. It's not something you can skip because you're busy. It's not something you can sacrifice for work, for entertainment, for anything. Sleep is when your brain removes the poison it generated during the day. And if you don't give it that time, the poison stays, and it kills you. This is the most dangerous thing your body does while you sleep. And it's the most dangerous thing that doesn't happen when you don't sleep. Your brain is flushing out toxins every night, and if you're not sleeping, those toxins are building up, right now, in your brain, killing you slowly, and now you know. So, that's what your body is doing while you're unconscious, shrinking, suffocating, hallucinating, paralyzing itself, killing cells, flushing poison, and you thought you were just resting. Sleep isn't a break from life. It's when your body does the work you can't consciously handle. It's when systems take over that don't ask for your permission and don't care about your comfort. It's maintenance. It's purging. It's controlled violence and chemical warfare happening inside you every single night. And here's the thing. You can ignore this information if you want. You can go back to thinking of sleep as just sleep. You can pretend your body is a passive, peaceful thing when you close your eyes. But it's not. It never was. And now, you know. Your body is running operations in the dark that would horrify you if you were awake to witness them. And the only reason you're okay with it is because you're unconscious. But the work still happens. The damage still accumulates when you skip it. The toxins still build up. The systems still fail when you don't give them time to function. You can't negotiate with biology. You can't cut corners with sleep and expect your brain to just deal with it, because your brain is dealing with it by slowly poisoning itself, by accumulating damage, by failing one neuron at a time because you didn't give it the 8 hours it needed to flush out the waste. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good, because discomfort is the only thing that changes behavior. Comfort is what got you here. Comfort is what convinced you that 5 hours of sleep was fine, that all-nighters were manageable, that you could function on coffee and willpower. You can't. Your brain can't. And every night you try, you're paying a price you won't see until it's too late. So, here's the deal. You now know what your body is doing while you sleep. You know what happens when you don't sleep. You know the stakes. And what you do with that information is up to you. You can prioritize sleep. You can treat it like the biological necessity it is. You can give your body the time it needs to shrink your spine, flush your brain, kill damaged cells, and run its nightly diagnostics. Or you can keep sacrificing it, keep cutting it short, keep pretending it doesn't matter. But your body will remember, and eventually, it'll send you the bill. If you're the kind of person who watches a 30-minute video about what your brain does in the dark, you're probably not here for surface-level content. You're here because you want to know the truth. even when it's uncomfortable, even when it challenges what you thought you knew. So, if you want more of that, more uncomfortable truths, more reality checks, more information that most people are too scared or too lazy to look up, subscribe. If not, that's fine too. Enjoy your blissful ignorance. Either way, your body's doing this stuff tonight, whether you think about it or not, but at least now you know, and you can't unknow it. Sleep well.